Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Ow, this is really hot. I'm drinking a 3 ginger, it's like ginger and turmeric tea. It's from the brand Puka. I'm actually wearing my papa sweater today. I found this deep in my closet. I'm gonna do a get ready with me. I brought all of my stuff into the yoga room because the lighting I thought was pretty and you can enjoy some nature in the background while I answer some of your questions from Instagram. And I said, ask me anything you want. And today I'm gonna answer some of those questions. I've been using a tinted moisturizer recently. It's one that I found again when I was moving and I started using it in the springtime. A little bit of tinted moisturizer with a little bit of concealer can go a long way for me lately. I feel like I've found a happy median with my makeup now, where I really like the expression of makeup, but I don't feel the need to wear it every day. You feel? Maurice wants to know, also hi Maurice, what's one thing that has kept you grounded this year? I follow Maurice now. Maurice has been around for a little while, and Maurice, you're a whole mood, and I know that you're a deep person, so I love that you asked me a deep question to start. I feel like you can see the symbolism of these two things in a lot of different areas of life, and it's like the duality but also the balance of these two things. So those two things are nature, just being more in tune with nature, moving out to nature. That has brought me a lot of groundedness, stability, ability to just breathe, like just take my time. I loved the city so much. I will always love the city, and I'm sure I'll love going back to the city. I'm glad I still have friends in the city to see because I love Toronto so much. But I felt like I was constantly racing around the city itself, but also like racing on to the next thing. And this period of my life has really given me a chance to take a breath, to like really appreciate the changing seasons. The other thing that's kept me very grounded or given me a sense of safety and groundedness, especially when the waves started to get chaotic, is also my faith. And I feel like faith can mean so many different things to so many different people. This deep connection I feel to like existence, to the miracle of existence, and just appreciating existence growing up, and the things that I endured and the ways that I kept myself safe growing up was like, don't let yourself get that happy because then you're in a vulnerable position. That has really shifted. I find that since I've put my faith in something bigger, this all-giving energy has allowed me to feel safe in the ever-going tides and flows of just existing, you know? Like, it's not always gonna be, I'm not always gonna feel happy all the time. There's a freedom in accepting that. Because then when I am happy, I'm no longer telling myself, don't get happy because you'll be unsafe. It's more so like, give thanks, give gratitude to all of the powers at play that allow me to have those pockets of happiness. And then also it gives me something to have faith in when I'm in those lower points, that like those happy points will come back. It's just a wave. It's all just a wave, you know, life is a wave. Anyway, thank you so much for that question. And I pitch it back to you, Maurice, and also all you guys watching. What has been keeping you grounded this year? Let me know in the comment section down below. Next question. Okay, XOXO Monisha wants to know, what's your favorite wine? This brand, it's called Apothic. Normally they do Apothic Red, but I've been drinking this wine called Apothic Dark, and normally I'm not a red wine drinker, but I really like it. It's a good wine to sip on. It's a good wine to have with dinner. What wines are you guys drinking lately? Let me know some brands down below. Okay, so Emmy Chevrier, I'm so sorry if I said your name wrong, asks, what do you recommend for tarot and astrology beginners? So first and foremost, my answer to you, just to start off, is that I'm also still very much a beginner. In astrology and in tarot, even though I've been into it for a few years, I feel like I feel still like a beginner because there's still so much to learn and so much interest I have in it, and I don't spend as much time in it as I wish I did. That said, lately I've been getting back into tarot. Some YouTubers that do tarot readings and also some that do like astrology forecasts. I found this new love for this little lane of YouTube of like tarot and astrology where I'll put it on normally when I'm getting ready. My favorites right now are the Minnow Pond. He gives great readings, and he does so many. Like, he uploads, there's specific days of the week that are dedicated to the elements. So I forget which day is water, but every few days I go on and there's like a new Pisces video, and it always makes me so excited to watch. Like, I'll just look up like astrology forecasts on YouTube, and it helps me better understand the different houses, the different planet alignments, and slowly I'm learning. Like, I'm learning it in bite-sized pieces by downloading their knowledge, but then also too, I just find it interesting. I'm a strong believer when it comes to things like tarot and astrology. I can't sit here and be like, here's the proof, you know, here's the proof in the pudding. But what I will say is, as somebody that's also deeply interested in philosophy and then also psychology, it makes sense to me that if you accept something as a truth, there's a better chance you can bring it into manifestation or fruition. I'm also a hopeless romantic, and I love the poetry of things like tarot and astrology. So I love the symbolisms of the different planets, the symbolisms of the stars in the sky, the symbolisms of the different cards in tarot, and then using your intuition to channel a message that just seems to flow from you. It's not something you're forcing or creating. That's where I pull my value from it. Find somebody you really gel with, find somebody whose energy you really like. There's so many tarot readers on YouTube. The Gem Goddess is a great one. There's the Tarot Priest. I would definitely do some digging. Look for some workshops, look for some classes, and don't be afraid to be a beginner. The best part about being a beginner is that the whole world of what you're getting into is your oyster, and there's so much to learn. So being a beginner is fun because, like, you really get to test things out, find what gels, find what doesn't, and make it your own in a way. New interests are always fun for that reason. Put this back on after because I'm a little toasty. Okay, so Rose Seipolt, I hope I said your name right, says, I know you've talked about it before, but how do you love your body and be confident in your skin? That's a really great question, and a very deep question as well. Thank you for asking. There's a huge sense of relief that comes from letting things just be exactly as they are. I think that's a very bold and a brave thing to do, especially in the modern era that we live in, where there's always this urge and this subconscious draw to reach for more. As a society, I think we're still out of balance with is this idea that we constantly need to be bettering ourselves, that we need to be improving ourselves. And the problem with it, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with improving yourself, but the context of it is usually because we're coming from a place of lack or not good enough or fitting a norm or a standard that actually isn't your own. On a smaller scale, in meditation, if you notice your thoughts trailing away when you're trying to focus, there's this practice you can do with just letting that be okay. Stop trying to force your thoughts to go in a certain direction. Stop trying to force your mind into concentration, but just being aware, taking a back seat, being like, this is interesting. My brain seems to be all over the place, and that's okay. Because from that state of kindness and compassion, you're able to then direct your focus with a little bit more flow and a little less like aggression and force and like berating yourself for not being able to focus. So in a very similar sense, I had to shift my focus away from thinking that the way to that, the path to that was changing on the outside. And I know that this is cliche, but I really had to shift my perspective on the inside. Sit back a little further, see myself fully as I was, and be totally okay with it. And be totally okay too with the knowledge or the notion that just like how life is an ever-going flow of consciousness, my body is also going to ebb and flow throughout different stages of my life. And if you really want like a fast track or a hack to that, I feel like I always boil it down to, if I had a daughter, what would I want to embody for her? What would I want to show her? What would I want to teach her about her body? Because I feel like I didn't really necessarily get those teachings growing up. And so just in a very philosophical way, it's like I'd taken that motherly archetype with myself, and I almost take a role with myself where I'm like, let me show you how to be okay with your body, how to love your body, how to embrace your body, how to just let it be as it is. And then from that place of loving kindness, compassion, or even just patience, permission to take up space, from there I'm able to then flow with my body into a place of wanting to care for it, for a sense of like gratitude, for a sense of just feeling like okay, feeling totally okay with no matter what choice I choose, you know? It's just so much more freeing. Now that's all fine and dandy when you're feeling really good about yourself, but that doesn't mean that you won't still get challenged at times. If you challenge the emotion in the moment where you feel ashamed of your body, if you ask yourself why, an answer normally will pop up. If you can't think of an answer, then you can instantly be like, well, then I have a choice. If I can't even think of a reason to feel ashamed, then I have a choice to not feel it. I have a choice to feel confident. It's just a choice, right? But normally we can think of some reasons why. We can pick out some flaws that we're not normally loving about ourselves, but bring your why all the way down to like, where did the belief come from that this wasn't okay? All of these things are very human. They're not something that you experience alone. We all feel or experience different type of insecurities. And so where did we agree? Where did I sign the contract? We get a choice, and it's a choice that you're allowed to reclaim within yourself as to what your standards are, what your values are. And there is a conscious collective, I guess you could say, like cultural or societal sense of values and of standards, but you can choose to go against the grain. You can choose to reclaim your own life. It's not an easy thing to do, and it's not like you just feel great about it every day. One day you decide, you know what, my standard of beauty is feeling alive, breathing, dancing, doing something that makes me feel confident, wearing clothes that I feel comfortable in. Like, there's still gonna be days that gets challenged, but don't be afraid to challenge the challenge. Don't be afraid to sit in the emotion and ask where it's coming from. Like, why are you abandoning yourself for the collective? You know, why are you abandoning your confidence, your ability to claim and own your body, claim and own your existence in order to morph yourself into someone else's standards? Be really tender with yourself. Be really caring with yourself. Like, doesn't mean they're always going to work in the moment, but like, run yourself a bubble bath when you're having a day where you're just feeling physically uncomfortable. Again, wear something that makes you feel comfortable. Feed yourself foods that make you feel good. Drink lots of water. Make yourself some tea. Like, don't be afraid to also take up space when you're not feeling great either. I feel like it can start to bleed into the toxic positivity, believing that you have to feel good about your body every day. You don't. You're allowed to have days where you're feeling uncomfortable, where you're feeling a little self-conscious. It's just more so about how you treat that energy, especially nowadays with technology and social media. It's a force to be reckoned with. And so you're allowed to have bad days, but just be aware of how you treat yourself on those bad days. Just reclaim the beauty that naturally is within you. And there's so many little actions you can do to do that. Okay, so I'm terrible at concentrating when I do eyeliners, so please forgive me. I might get quiet for a moment, but I'll speed it up for you. Also, I love that you guys are asking like such deep questions today. I mean, I'm not surprised. So leafygreens_@ says, would you consider putting up Ariel yoga equipment? And I have some. I put it up, actually my boyfriend put it up for me like back in February or March. I will show you a little clip of it here, but yeah, I actually do have Ariel silks. I need to get new ones, and they were originally meant to hang in this room, which is my yoga room, but we didn't have the right bolts for it. So he's gonna hang a different set in here, which I think will be a lot easier because there's way more height in here. But in the meantime, I have been practicing on and off, but I do love the silks. So this is an interesting relationship question. It says, should a relationship with the right person romantically still require work, or should it just click? And just like most things in life, I would say that the answer to that question is somewhere in the middle. The right person is different for everybody. Some people need to find someone that's like them. Some people are meant to be with somebody that supports them. Other people are meant to be with someone that challenges them. And so it's hard to kind of generalize all into one answer, but I would say that no relationship doesn't require work. Very rarely. I won't say none, but at least in my experience, I think that, and even my experience of witnessing other relationships and even incredible relationships, that every relationship requires work, because every relationship, the minute that you take on life with a partner or like an interdependent person, it requires at least some sacrifice at some point, at some time. And even if you are two peas in a pod, there can be other moments, other points, be it in parenting, be it in dividing up your time or your families over holidays, be it deciding where you're gonna live or making big life decisions together. There's always gonna be points where you need to work, points like communication, points like intimacy, like vulnerability. Like, there's always gonna be challenges along the way. And it's not just even challenges within your compatibility, but even challenges that the world will throw your way as a partnership. And so I don't think it should just click. I think that certain times and certain moments in your relationships might just click, and that's always a really good feeling. But I think that all relationships require work. All partners, even friendships, and again, even the relationship with yourself in your life, are teachers, and they teach us so much. And it's nice if you can find a person where you don't have to work that hard to be together or that hard to be in love. Sometimes love really just isn't enough. And sometimes there's too much work for the reward. But I definitely think that even if you find your perfect counterpart, it's gonna still require some work. It's gonna still require some challenges and some growth and some learning. And that's kind of the beauty of relationships, though. I think it makes relationships stronger, in my opinion. Sabrina_P.B asks, do you just speak English? And yes, I am definitely, is it monolingual? I know the tiniest bit of French, and I'm better at speaking very broken French Canadian than I am at understanding it, because I feel like especially French Canadian people speak really fast, and so I can maybe pick up on a couple words, but it's quite rusty. I've always wanted to relearn French. It's on my life bucket list to take French lessons and to really, really submerge myself in focusing and accomplishing learning at least how to get by with a little bit of French. And then I've also heard as well that once you learn French, Spanish gets a little bit easier. In my 40s, my kids have grown a little bit, and mom's looking for something to do just for her, and I'll end up taking French lessons or Spanish lessons or something, you know? Oh, this is a good question. Okay, Kristen asks, how do you deal with losing friends while trying to better myself? #lonely. When you especially take the journey on of trying to better yourself, of growing, of going on your own, I'll call it a spiritual journey, but really it's just your own journey of self-development. It's normal to go through a bit of depression or feeling really low. It's normal to go through a sense of isolation and feeling like you've lost some people, you've walked away from the tribe, you've walked away from the group, you're thinking differently, you're doing things differently. The people in your life that are meant to be in your life are coming, and the ones that aren't meant to stay in your life are going. And you can trust that if you're feeling lonely right now, you're learning a lot, even in the suffering that comes sometimes with loneliness. Going out on your own and taking your own pilgrimage, taking your own journey of the soul, figuring out where you need to expand, where you need to grow, where you're meant to go. And those lonely moments, they fucking suck. I won't even try and sugarcoat it. And it feels so isolating at times, but you're learning so much, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. And your soul family are finding you. They're coming, and they might be going through their own lonely times, and you will find solace in each other once you do get together and once you do find each other. But in the meantime, I really do believe that if you're in a lonely state, there's a lot you can learn here, and there's a lot you probably are already learning here, and there's nothing to be shameful of or feel bad about, even though sometimes you can't just turn it off. Sometimes you just wish you had other people. You won't always be alone. You won't always be lonely. You'll eventually find people, and suddenly you'll start the pendulum will swing, and you'll go through a phase where you'll be itching for alone time, and you'll think of this phase of your life now and look back on it and be like, oh dang, you have an open slate right now. There's nobody redirecting your energy towards them. And if you can look at it that way, there's an opportunity to direct your attention towards yourself in any manner. Get interested in the things you want to get interested in, learn the things you want to learn. You'll feel it. You'll feel the change. You'll feel how much you've grown during this period. So hang in there. I know it sucks. There's a loneliness epidemic around the world, especially too with technology and such. We've gotten too used to being individual. We've gotten too used to being alone. But I don't think it's a forever thing. I think that even in a global sense, in a collective sense, we're meant to go through these things that we're going through. So hang in there. And in the meantime, I'm glad you're over here, and I'm hoping that these videos and such can keep you some virtual company. I've been there. You're not alone. Cheers. So there's a couple questions popping up asking about catching, when it's coming out, am I working on it? And the answer to this is yes, I am working on it. I'm not putting a date on it because I don't want to squeeze it out of myself. I want to be able to unpack the process. Since November, I've started writing it again. In the Koze Members Club, I worked on the audiobook, so I had to reread the entire first book. And I felt two types of ways. Honestly, I felt a little bit of weird embarrassment when it came to my writing projects from earlier years, just because I feel like I've changed so much and I've put so much of my life out there for so long that I'm bound to feel a little ugh about some of the things I've put out there and some of the things I was really trying for. But I will say I was pleasantly shocked when I reread Catcher because it was better than I remembered it. There's definitely some flaws in it. Like I definitely already can see things I would have changed or wrote differently. But the concepts and like the certain ways things are tied together in a symbolic way to even the ways that we exist here on the planet, I was like, you know what? Hats off, 2017, 2018 me. I work on it for an hour every day. It's been really fun going back to that world, but it's also been really fun getting creative again and just really bringing a new world to life and going and visiting that world on a daily basis. Anyway, Jessica Vos, VOS says, please, can we see some more makeup and hair tutorials like the old days? That kind of worked out now, didn't it? Ooh, this is an interesting and also potentially a controversial question. We talk about things that are taboo, we make it more normal to talk about these things and not worry about being right or wrong, but instead just try and lean into understanding one another. Anyway, this question is from Kelsey saying, how do you keep your relationship with weed healthy and beneficial? When you use anything, it doesn't need to be weed. It could be alcohol. It could be like literally anything, shopping, food, so many different things. When you use these things to run away from your emotions, when you don't respect not only the power of a substance or the power of anything or the influence of anything, if you don't like, oh, Kalyn. If you don't admit how something plays a role in your life, if you don't respect the power of the influence something has on you or your body, then you're out of alignment. Like you'll go out of balance. And I was out of balance for a long time. I took a big break from weed, and keeping it balanced and healthy really was just by facing what I was using it for, you know, and what I was using it to band-aid, what I was using it to avoid or suppress. I've worked a lot on really rooting like in myself, in just even the discomforts that come from withstanding things that I used to rely on so heavily, like weed. I don't know, I'm not trying to hyper control my life or my emotions or anything anymore. And that freedom has just allowed me to really put everything back into balance and stop allowing things outside of myself to have so much control over my life and my choices and my lifestyle and my existence, you know? See, I feel a sense of resistance right now because I know this is controversial. I'm not trying to tell anybody to look into these things, to get into these things. Like, please don't ever make big life decisions based on people on the internet. All right, let's see if we can find one more and then I'll put my outfit together. Our last question is, it starts with a quote saying, they replaced prayer with manifest and God with universe. How do you deal with people with this kind of mindset? And there's a question actually right direct to it. And I know that we kind of started on this note, but let's end it on this note that says, how do you see religion / the universe? Seeing different points of views helps me establish mine. And I love that. I love that idea that seeing different points of views helps you establish yours. I really do believe there is one truth. There's this thread of truth that you can find that are universal in a lot of the different belief systems and religions. I really don't think it's as simple as I'm about to make it, is my disclaimer. I don't necessarily think it matters the path you take to getting there if we're all heading in the same direction. If you're seeking to understand existence, if you're seeking to understand the part of you that is divine, if you're seeking to understand something to have faith in, and you and I take different paths there. You find it, let's say, through Christianity or Buddhism or Hinduism or Judaism or spirituality. If we all are at least heading towards the light, if we're heading towards just the things that you know morally feel light, powerful, you know, if you're light, like a light worker or whatever you want to call it, prayer, God, like I just feel as though there's no sense in judging one another for the paths we take as long as we're all heading towards the same destination and direction. I do believe that there can be evil. I do believe there can be evil out there. And again, it can come in many faces, many forms, many terminologies, many mythologies. I definitely think there's an opposing force to light. I think that if you can find faith or belief in things that you know intuitively, morally align with the higher sense of yourself, the evolution of your soul through any path of spirituality or religion, that's it, like, period. Like, I just don't feel any need for someone to believe in the exact same things that I personally believe in if I know them to be a good intended person, a pure-hearted person. There are always going to be temptations that draw us in the opposite direction. And I think exactly that, like, there's so many layers of complication in this, but even the duality of those two things instantly means attraction, right? Like, if you have the duality of light to dark, then when you're feeling the lightness, you'll feel temptation towards the darkness. And when you're in a dark place, you'll want to find the light. And I think, again, as much as I'm making it dual, or that there are two things, I don't think it's that black and white. I think there's so many ranges in between there, and that energies are very powerful things, and they symbolize themselves in ways that we can only understand as far as the human brain can go and as far as the human knowledge can go. And so we tend to humanize things. We tend to create gods or goddesses, you know, and we make them in human form. We say that God made human in his form. I can't say, I don't know, I'm not saying that isn't true, but I also just think that the only way we can understand God is if we make him human. We make God seem like a person. But just like if I was looking at you, I would see your body, but I wouldn't see your soul. I could feel your soul or sense your soul, especially in the different channels that or tools that you would use to express your soul, but I can't specifically point at something and say that's your soul. I feel the same way about God. I feel the same way about religion, and I think that all religions, at least most of them anyway, are just different translations to trying to understand the same thing. I took world religion in high school, and it's never escaped my mind the idea of the golden rule that no matter what religion, no matter what belief system, like, treat other people the way you want to be treated. Like, value the divinity or the divine in other people just as you want other people to value the divinity or the divine within you. And I think if we do that, it really doesn't matter what languages we speak, what cultures we live in, what belief systems we have, because we'll look out for one another. We'll understand that we all might speak in different tongues, might speak in different languages, be it physical languages or spiritual languages or religious languages, but that we're all, to the bare bones, like, we're all made up of the same material. We're all made up of the same thing, and we're all trying to understand the same questions. And everybody's path to that can be totally different, but as long as we're, like, heading in the same upward direction, you know, if we're doing it for the good, don't be afraid to venture out. Like, don't be afraid to keep your mind and your heart open, even if you found something that, like, I feel pretty rooted in the things that I believe in. I could explain to you why I say the word universe over God, and it's not because I think any less of God or don't believe in a God. I just think that there's so much weight behind the word God and historical context into the word God. So I use the word, like, the universe. To me, that's not me shaming or judging or belittling a different religion. To me, I think it's just we're all speaking the same thing, just different languages. How do you deal with people that don't see that the same way? Smile. Just be okay with it. Let it be okay. They're on their own path. They're on their own journey. It's not up to you to change anybody's mind. Your only responsibility is you. Your only sole purpose is yours. And yes, there is a collective, and yes, we can break into that at another time. You're not here to fight with other people about what the truth is. You're just here to figure out your own truth. And it's okay if your truth clashes with other people. If people, I don't accept disrespect, but, like, honestly, I feel like the best way is to just smile. Just keep on keeping on your journey. Try to tune the noise out and stay focused on what's helping you expand, you believe, and you feel a sense of purpose, a sense of strength, a sense of faith. And with that was a deep question. You guys asked lots of deep questions today, and I appreciate it. If you guys want more Q&As, let me know. I'm gonna finish off my outfit real quick with just a little, also, hat or no hat? I still have to do a few more things at home, and it feels a little weird wearing such a you know what? No, it's not. No, it's not. Use the fine china, wear the cute hats. I'll give you one last little shot of my outfit here in case you're like, let me see the full look. Like, is this outfit too city? I don't know. I don't think so. I think any outfit can be anything you make it, right? Right? Life's what you make it, so let's make it rock. Thank you guys so much for coming to my Get Ready With Me Q&A tea talk. And other than that, I love you guys all the way to the moon and back. If you want more Q&As, let me know by thumbsing up this video or commenting down below. And I will talk to all of you guys in the next vlog. Bye, guys.